Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Alex Brito here. If you've been following me throughout this series, we've been discussing the four horsemen from the Gottman Method, which are the real toxic behaviors in a relationship, and how these communication patterns can affect your relationship. In fact, study shows that they are destructive to your relationship. That's their only destiny. Today, we're going to talk about the fourth and final horseman, which is stonewalling. Now, stonewalling, what is that? Stonewalling happens when one partner emotionally checks out of the conversation. Maybe they stop responding, right? Maybe they stop eye contact, or maybe they become completely silent. Many people assume that stonewalling means that someone doesn't care. How many times have you heard that? Why aren't you answering? You don't care about me? If you really cared about me, I've heard that before. But often that's not true. That's not what's happening. In many cases, what's happening is what we call emotional flooding, right? Is that we're so emotionally overwhelmed, and that comes with some symptoms. Our heart increases, our stress level arise, right? Our nervous system essentially is just saying, I cannot handle this right now. I just cannot, right? And they just need, they're really, really overwhelmed. That's what we call it flooding. You feel like you're kind of almost drowning, right? And the challenge for the partner that maybe not experiencing, or sometimes both are experiencing it, right, is they see the partner who's not experiencing or is not the main stonewaller may experience the stonewalling and think, I'm being rejected. You don't want me. They feel ignored or abandoned, right? Or dismissed is probably another word I would use. And what can couples do instead in this situation? Because this is very frustrating. I've been in arguments where at one point cross my arms and quietness, right? Because I am overwhelmed. It's not that I don't care, I'm overwhelmed. And one of the things that the Gottman Method discovered helps is an antidote to that is what we call physiological self-soothing. In simple terms, right? As easy as can be, is taking a break. Not to avoid the conversation, not taking a break forever, not coming back to it, but taking a structured break, right? Where in that structured break, people take time to calm down and to get to a point where they can talk about the situation again productively, right? A healthy pause in a conversation with if there's not a healthy pause, it becomes destructive. It's just going to be an ongoing war. Remember, communication isn't just about the talking of the words, right? So it's about knowing when is the right moment and how are your emotions and are you regulated to have this conversation before you continue having the conversation. One of the ways that the Gottman Institute discovered that you can kind of tell. So for most men, when they start to stonewall, there is some like body language you can notice. And I want to give you a couple. So for most men, what we do is we kind of cross our arms or whatever body language represents, I'm closing off. And we start to look everywhere else. We say, yep, you're right. Mm-hmm. Or we just stay silent, like a freaking wall, as it's called stonewalling, because we are overwhelmed. And they discovered that most of females in this situation, what happens to them is that they respond a little bit of the opposite way. They look at you, they look engaged, and they might be like, like really focused on you, but inside their heads, they're gone. They're overwhelmed. And sometimes that could potentially be because of the fear of not losing, feeling like they're weak. They don't want to be perceived as weak. They don't want to be perceived as less than, because women have had generally a lot more adversities than men throughout history. And I think over time, sociologically, this develops. So for most women, they'd be like, yeah, tell me more. But inside, they are gone. For men, we just show it externally. But whenever stonewalling happens, having a structured break is super important. In our next episode, I'm going to go a little bit further into each of the antidotes for these four behaviors: for criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. And what are some things you can practically do to help improve your relationship a little bit at a time? If you're noticing these things in your relationship, and you are asking and thinking, man, I might need some help, somebody walking me through that, we just want to encourage you. We are open to receive new clients. We work on this with couples all the time. And if that is you, give us a call and check us out. But until then, I'll see you in the next episode. We're going to dive deeper into the antidotes.